Hello everybody. So I made mention earlier today when I was on live that I was going to come back on. So I wanted to make sure, I know it's a Friday night, people are probably out enjoying the weekend, being off of work, not having to worry about your job or anything. So I hope you are having a great Friday. So I wanted to hop on now because I mentioned earlier that I was going to come back on. One of the things that I wanted to mention, hey, thanks so much for joining my live. First, I wanted to welcome everybody who followed me recently on TikTok. I got a lot of good feedback from my workwear videos, so I'm super excited about that. I wanted to show you all this this workwear outfit that I was gonna recreate next. I meant to go look on my Instagram to see what type of feedback that I got, because I mentioned I was gonna be doing another workwear video. So let me see if I can pull up the picture of I know I could do it on Instagram. I don't want to be messing up stuff. Let me see. I could probably, if I was to show my phone, let me see if the screen will work. So I wanted to show the other workwear idea that I had to see. I mean, it's super simple. Like, I don't be doing the most with workwear videos, but it was on my stories. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see it. And I took a poll too about it to see if anyone would be interested. It was just like some wide leg, like some cuffed pants and a blazer. Like, it was like a brown blazer. It was super simple, but just something nice for workwear. And when it expires, I don't see it. I should have saved it to my highlights, which I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. I didn't save it. Well, it's in my phone. But I'll probably have to show you guys later. But yeah, it's just like some wide leg pants, a blazer, and just like a white shirt underneath that I'm gonna put together for workwear. Maybe if I could find it on Pinterest, on my Pinterest, I could maybe bring it up. So I wanted to come on here today because I had a couple of you join Design Your Career, my mentorship program. And when you sign up, I have automation set up for my business. So what that looks like is when you sign up for any of my programs or anything that I sell, you should automatically receive an email from me. Like, that's how I have everything set up on the back end. So make sure that you all are checking your email. It should be sent immediately. Like, as soon as you join, you should get the login information for my school community, because that's where my Design Your Career mentorship program is housed. It's on school. So when you get the email, you have to click the link and then it'll take you over to school, and then you'll have to log in there, and that's where you get access to the Design Your Career curriculum and then all the other trainings that are inside of the mentorship program. Thank you all so much for joining my live. Thank you all for being here. So I wanted to talk about what I had mentioned earlier. I did a live earlier, me and another online marketer. So she's in marketing in different industry, different niche, and I specialize in marketing for social workers and therapists. So I wanted to come and talk to you all about what I think is missing when you all like hear the term marketing, or you need to be doing marketing. And I think of marketing in two different arenas when you're deciding on how to navigate your social worker therapist career. So even though you're working a 9-to-5 as a social worker, you still need to know how to market. So you need to have professional marketing in your career. And then if you transition into owning and operating a private practice, which is what I do full time, then you need to know how to market your practice. So that's one of the things that we're not taught in our undergraduate degree or in our graduate programs, is how to market. So one, you're not taught how to market yourself on the career side so that you can secure more higher paying roles. That's why a lot of us are getting getting stuck in that micro, meso, macro level of social work practice. So if you don't know how to market yourself with your clinical skills or your social work skills to be able to land higher paying roles, that's oftentimes what's keeping you stuck. And then once you have a little bit of expertise, once you've been working in your career for 6-7 years, then you decide that you want to transition into private practice. You have the clinical skills, but you don't have the business acumen. You don't have the marketing side of what it takes to grow and operate and run a practice. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If anyone had any questions on either side, because I help social workers and therapists design careers that they love and monetize what they know, meaning how to make money from the knowledge and skills that you already have without a need for any additional certifications, trainings, or anything. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, to see if any of you had any questions around why you're struggling with marketing yourself on the career side, or why you're struggling to market yourself within your private practice. And then I wanted to give you all some suggestions on what you could be doing to better position yourself for the roles that you want, or to begin learning how to earn extra income off the knowledge and the expertise that you have. Because a lot of us within the social work profession, we think that we need to get another degree, we need to get another certification, we need to go back to school. And to be honest, a lot of us are only going back to school so we don't have to pay our student loans. Like, we're not even going back to school because we feel like it's going to be of value to better position us within our careers. Like, we just like, I need these loans to stop, so let me enroll in a program or something. But when you do that, you just continue to rack on debt, because your motivation for getting your doctorate degree or taking that next step or getting that extra master's degree is really not a strategic decision that you're making to enhance your career. Is something that you're doing, which I always recommend not to do, out of making decisions out of fear, frustration, or overwhelm. So if you notice that you're making decisions for either 3 of those reasons, you want to reevaluate and reassess, could there potentially be another way for you to be able to leverage the knowledge that you already have so that you can increase your income that way instead of taking on more debt. So let's talk a little bit about marketing, what it is, why it matters, and how you can begin positioning yourself with the expertise that you already have. So when I talk about marketing are all the ways that you put your name, your brand, your image out there into the world, and you give people a way to know who you are, to like who you are, to trust who you are, build a relationship with who you are. So then that way, if you decide that you have something to sell or something that you want to offer, it makes it easier for people to buy into you, buy into your image, buy into your messaging, because they have what we call the know, like, and trust factor. So your marketing are those things that you do to promote yourself, to promote your values, to talk about the things that matter to you, to give people an idea and a picture of your character, your knowledge and your expertise, and you're just continuing to put yourself out there. So you can do that again on the career side, and you can do that on the business side. So let me know in the comment section, what side are you on? Are you all working in your career? And then I'll break down how I define what I call the social work success path. So are you all working in your career? Are you working in a business? Because that distinction is going to be important. So when I work with social workers and therapists, so put career if you're working in your career, and put business if you're working in your business, or you're trying to start a business. So then I know who I'm talking to and who's here. So one of the things that I teach social workers about is something called the social work success path. And the social work success path is something that I created to help you think about and envision. This is for social workers and therapists, to envision what it would look like for you to be able to build something outside of what we're traditionally taught as it relates to micro, meso, and macro level of practice. So this could be true for social workers, therapists, marriage and family therapists, any helping professional, LPC, LICDC, LISW, LMSW, LCSW, LPC, any helping profession within our industry. This can apply for you. So what that looks like is when you're working in your 9 to 5. So let me know if you guys are solely working in your 9 to 5, meaning your 9 to 5 is the sole thing that helps you pay your bills. You don't have anything else going, nothing going on outside of that. So put a 1 in the chat if you're still working in your 9 to 5. So I talk about your 9 to 5 being the career phase, meaning that's what you do primarily to bring in income. So if you're in the career phase, put a 1 in the chat so I know that you're in the career phase. And then I talk about after you've worked in the career phase, so you have your 9 to 5, then you move into the scaffolding phase. The scaffolding phase is when you've developed 3-5 years of experience within the career phase, and then you decide, okay, I think I want to build something for myself. I think I want to create a consulting company or a coaching offer. I want to sell digital products, or I want to start teaching, or I want to start coaching, or I want to start training and getting out on stages and speaking in front of organizations or at nonprofits. So whenever you decide that you want to start charging for your expertise, that's when you transition from the career phase to the scaffolding phase. And then you're working on building something for yourself. So put a 2, let me know if you're in the scaffolding phase, meaning you're working in your 9 to 5, but then you have something that you're creating on the side, whether it's coaching, consulting, digital products, speaking, teaching, whatever that thing is that you're doing outside of your 9 to 5. So put a 2 if you're in the scaffolding phase. And then I talk to social workers about the social work CEO phase. So that's the phase where I'm in. I own and operate my own private practice. And that is when you're solely working in your own business, and the money that you make is based upon what you bring in for your business. So if you're in the CEO phase, put a 3 in the chat and then let me know that that's where you are, so then I'll know that you're in the career phase. So when I'm talking about these 3 phases of professionalism, typically I saw your video on the 3 stages and found it very helpful. Oh, perfect. Thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful. So that's what I'm going to be expanding on today. So when and you said you were in the career phase, so that's perfect. So I want to not only know what phase you're in, I also want to talk about your career clarity number, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So when you decide what phase you're in, so you're in the career phase, the scaffolding phase, and the social work CEO phase, just because you're there, that doesn't mean that you have to stay there. You might come here on TikTok and see people talking about something that you're passionate about, or you might look to say, man, I could do that. I can make videos around that. I can make content like that. I can make YT videos talking about my expertise. And then you start to get this desire and this inkling and this inclination to want to do something else outside of what you've traditionally been doing in your 9 to 5, which is totally fine. And I think what happens for most of us is we have never been taught, and we don't have a clear path, or a clear path has never been created for us to go from micro, meso, and macro level social work practice and then take that leap into the scaffolding phase and then to move into the social work CEO phase. So I mentioned earlier on my live, I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie The Truman Show. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen the movie The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, and I'll explain to you in a second why I'm bringing up that movie. So when we're taught within our coursework and everything that we do to get our degree, that's typically how we're taught: micro, meso, macro social work practice. And then when you work with any career coaches, oftentimes that's how they're teaching you how to level up in your career. That's why I don't like to identify myself as a career coach, because my goal is not to help you go from a micro level job to a macro level job, because that's a very one-dimensional way to think about what you can do with your social work career. So right now, as how it stands, when we're taught within our profession and you're going out there to get your internship, you're looking at what opportunities are available for you within those 3 areas of practice, which is fine. That's where we want to start when we're in the career phase. We need that 9 to 5. We need to start there, because that is validating the reason why we got the degree, is to help us increase our income and to get a job. So it's fine for us to start. That's ideally where we want to start, is in the career phase. So when you're starting there, the goal is to use that career phase to start developing a level of expertise. What typically happens is when you're in the career phase, we just kind of move around in a lot of different lateral roles with no idea around what our next step is going to be. So we'll work as a case manager, and then we'll work as a family support specialist, and then we'll work as a foster care and adoption assessor, and then we'll work manager, and then we'll work as a family support specialist, and then we'll work as a foster care and adoption assessor, and then we'll work at all of these generalist level roles. The problem with that is if you continue to work in those generalist level roles and then you don't identify a niche within the profession, then that doesn't allow you to develop a depth of knowledge. So what happens is your knowledge becomes a mile wide, but you have no depth in what you're doing, and then it makes it very difficult for you to position yourself as a leader, to position yourself as an expert, because you don't have any expertise in one particular thing. So when I got my degree, my master's degree, I did a specialization in school social work. So there were 2 tracks that you could take within my social work program. So you could do like a regular track where you would identify school social work, geriatric population, if you wanted to work with youth, whatever that was, or you can do an administrative track, which will put you straight on the trajectory for leadership. So you didn't even have to work at like a case management job or a role where you were like doing direct practice. The way that our graduate program was set up is you learned about budgets, you learned about managing people, you learned about high level leadership and executive leadership, and you did that track knowing that you wanted to go into leadership. I didn't even know what administration was at the time. Like I didn't even conceptualize that you should probably do that track. They explained it to us, like this is going to put you on a track for leadership and management, but I didn't have enough insight to know what I was getting into for me to not choose that track. My mind was just stuck on, I want to work with schools, I want to be a school social worker, and that's the route that I took. So that's ideally where I started. Let me see if I'm getting any questions. Exactly, my job provides funds for training. I'm taking advantage to get certifications. I got on a cream shirt. I said this earlier, I can never see. In DBT, CBT. Okay, good. I want to use that to get a specialty and go into phase 2. Perfect. Exactly. That's the goal. Just graduated with MSW. I just need a job. Okay. So this is part of the reasons why I wanted to create why I wanted to do this live. Okay. So there are a lot of different things that you could do within the social work profession, a lot of different things that you could do with your degree. Now, I mentioned I started in school social work. If you want to be successful within this profession, you have to identify an area of expertise. You have to identify a niche. You have to decide on a target population that you want to work with and get very clear on not only the expertise that you have, but how that expertise can be used to help the organization that you're working for, wanting to work for, reach their goals. So if you've been applying for, first off, you're not applying for a job if you're a social worker, you're building a career. So that's the first thing. Like I want you to start, if you're in a bachelor's degree program, a master's degree program, we're not getting a job, we're building a career. So first, like shift your mindset, like you're about to come into a profession that has longevity, that has growth potential, that has respect behind the name, even though the pay might not always reflect it, but you have a knowledge base that people are going to want to compensate you for once you get that depth of knowledge. So make that shift in your mind that this is not a job. Like you're not going to Walmart or Target or Sephora to get a job. You're building a career for yourself. So when you think about the career that you are about to build, think about beginning with the end in mind. That end in mind is what is the impact that you want to have within the work that you're doing, and who is that target population that you want to work with. So for me, it was working in schools. The impact that I wanted to have was working with youth. So I wanted to be able to go into schools, work with youth who are experiencing what we call non-academic barriers to success. So what that means is they were dealing with a lot of concerns that were happening outside of the classroom that were impacting their ability to learn. So that would mean that they were having difficulty at home with their parents. There was some ABUSE going on in the home. There was the other NEG word going on in the home. It might have been a lack of food, lack of supervision, not a lot of support from family members, verbal ABUSE, all kind of things happening, being hungry, that impacted their ability to show up and learn in the classroom. Because a lot of times teachers were frustrated because they were implementing their classroom management techniques that they were learning and training, but they weren't seeing the results within the classroom that they needed for their students to be able to learn. So with me being a school social worker, the teachers would come to me and say, okay, Monika, I'm using my school-based interventions, I'm using my classroom management, but such and such just won't sit down, or such and such just won't stop talking, or such and such just is all over the place, or they have anxiety, they cry all the time, their desk is a mess, like it looks like a tornado came through under their desk, and it's just things everywhere. So then it was my job to come in and then have conversations with the student to see what was going on that was really impacting them, because it wasn't always about them not being able to learn and them not being smart. Like that oftentimes was the furthest thing from the truth and what it was. And if they weren't sitting down to learn, it had nothing to do with their inability to grasp the concepts or understand the information. So when I developed my depth of knowledge, that meant that when those teachers came to me, I had to know what I needed to say to them to help them understand what they were experiencing in the classroom so that it made sense. Because I didn't want teachers to be punishing their students for something that was beyond their control. Like if you're coming to school and you're asleep because you didn't go to sleep till 5 o'clock in the morning because your parents are arguing and woke you up in the middle of the night, and then you had to go wake up at 8 o'clock and go to school in the morning, and you fall asleep in class, I don't want you to get an in-school suspension because you fell asleep. Like that wasn't your fault that you didn't get enough sleep. So I was responsible for helping educate teachers about all of those non-academic things that can be going on that students were bringing into the classroom. So what that means is, now I did get a certification in this. So I was trained in conscious discipline. That's where I really started to get my knowledge and expertise around child behavior, understanding how the brain works, and learning like emotional regulation. But what I didn't do is I didn't stray too much further outside of that, thinking that I needed all of these additional certifications that had nothing to do with me working with children. So I didn't go off and do a grief and loss. I didn't go off and do emotional freedom technique. I didn't go off and get all of these other certifications that had nothing to do with children. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're in the career phase, you need to think about identifying that niche in that area of expertise that can then carry you into the scaffolding phase when you want to build something for yourself. So when I talk about having a depth of knowledge versus like having knowledge that's just too generalized, that means you don't really understand all the nuances of what's going on with kids or going on with your target population. And then you kind of just default to these general answers that's really not helping people understand what's going on and understanding a solution and how you can help them. So when I'm talking about getting in a position to where you can market your expertise, you want to be able to talk about things and frame things from your own perspective, using your own frameworks and putting it in your own language. So if tell me, for example, what area are you all working on within the profession, and then I can give you an example. Because right now the example that I have is me working with kids and working in schools. And I can tell you what that looked like for me, and then how I began leveraging my expertise to position myself as an expert within the profession. So it really doesn't matter what area of social work that you're working in. The principle applies that you want to go from having a mile wide part of knowledge and getting deeper in your expertise and deeper in your knowledge base. So if a teacher, for example, came to me and said, well, I don't understand why such and such keeps yelling and screaming and hitting and kicking and punching. Like when people come into the line and they get in front of him, he just pushes them out the way. So if I'm like, yeah, that's messed up. I don't know, like he just probably needs some guidance or direction. Like if that was the answer that I gave and she was looking for solutions and trying to figure out what was going on, I wouldn't have been helpful to her as a teacher. Awesome, I have an idea of what area I would like to go into. Oh, perfect. I work in healthcare and a clinic as a counselor. I live in Canada though. Oh, okay. That's fine. So these principles that I'm sharing with you now, it doesn't matter what region, what city, what town you live in. These are just principles for you to develop your expertise. It doesn't matter what area you live in. This applies across the board. So if you want to share what area of expertise, that'll be great. And then we could talk a little bit more about that in detail. So if that teacher came to me and said, yeah, he's just been acting out and I don't really know what's going on. He's just pushing and hitting and kicking other kids. So if I had a surface level knowledge and all I could say was, yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, he kind of needs to get it together. Maybe I could talk to him. That is not showing that I'm an expert in anything as it relates to child behavior, understanding the function of behavior, anything related to why those behaviors would be showing up. So then it would be my responsibility to take that knowledge that I have using my experience in school social work and then going a level deeper. So I'm not having surface level knowledge like, oh, he's just acting out. I have to get to the function of the behavior. Like, what is this behavior communicating? What is the challenge that he can actually be having? So when I learned the conscious discipline model, that's when I started to learn the function behind the behavior. So that is what exposed me to the 3 brain states. So when I learned the 3 brain states, I understood that when you see certain behaviors show up in children, then you know what part of the brain they're operating from. So I learned about the base of the brain when they're operating out of survival. I learned about the limbic part of the brain, which is the emotional state of the brain. And then I learned about executive functioning in the executive part of the brain, or the prefrontal cortex, where all your decision making, problem solving, thinking things through, making good decisions, where that happens. And that's ideally the place where teachers want all of their students to be, because that's where the highest level of learning takes place, is when your executive functioning is on board. When it's not on board, then they're operating in the limbic part of the brain, which is the emotional center of the brain, or they're operating out of the base of the brain, or the survival part of the brain. So now I can tie in my expert level knowledge, what I know about the brain and what behaviors are happening, what I should be looking for based off of where they're operating from in the brain. And then I can take that and apply it into a real world context where I see that showing up in a classroom. So then I'm going from theory to practice, and I'm taking what I've been able to learn and I'm applying it to a real classroom setting. So then I can say, instead of, oh yeah, that's messed up, he just needs to get it together, then I can educate the teacher and say, oftentimes when we see these behaviors like hitting, kicking, slapping, punching, it probably means he's trying to protect himself because he is envisioning that there's some type of fear going on. So I could talk to him a little bit just to see, like, is there some type of fear going on that maybe he feels like he needs to protect himself from? And that's probably why these behaviors are showing up. So then I provide that level of insight to the teacher, even though she's not going to believe it. She doesn't know what I know. So she'll be like, no, he just need a whooping, or he just needs time out, or he just needs to go to the principal's office. So they're oftentimes going to push back, but it's still your responsibility to be able to educate staff around what you know. Okay, hospital or school setting. Okay, perfect. Mental health, typically I see people with a range of issues, depression, anxiety, a lot of grief. Okay, I really like the concept of developing a niche, though. I'm still considering what that should be. Okay, so we can talk about that a little bit to see if what I'm sharing could possibly help you out. So when I learned that model from conscious discipline, then I was able to educate the teacher around what those behaviors meant. When you see the hitting, kicking, slapping, punching, that means a child, just like a human, our bodies are designed to keep us safe. And whenever we feel that there's a threat or a perceived threat, our body is going to have those responses and go into protection mode. And that can be either physical protection or verbal protection. So that verbal protection would be the yelling, the screaming, the calling people names, the cussing people out. That's verbal protection, like get away from me. Or we see the physical protection, which is the hitting, kicking, slapping, and punching. So I probably shouldn't be saying those words on TikTok, but we're talking about mental health, so this is kind of what we see. Okay, so if you're working in a hospital setting, I think that's great. So in a hospital setting, if that's where you want to be, you just want to decide how I talked about those 3 phases of professionalism. Do you want to stay in the career phase for what you want to do? Do you want to move into the scaffolding phase where you're building something for yourself? Or do you want to go into the social work, CEO phase? What that can look like for you in a hospital setting. So when I work my 9 to 5, I was working as an independent contractor, but then I also worked on a psychiatric unit. So I was responsible for working with the patients who have come in to the emergency room because of SI. I'm assuming you all know what SI means. So they had either had an attempt or they actually kind of tried to go through with it, and it was more than an attempt, it was just an unsuccessful attempt. So when they came onto the unit, I was responsible for facilitating the groups on the hospital side. So if you, for example, decide you want to go into the scaffolding phase, one of the biggest challenges that we had as staff on the unit is the resources that we had to facilitate our groups were, I'm talking about videos from the 1980s. Like, that's the material that they have for us to use. Workbooks with, like, I wish I had a copy of these workbooks still. workbooks from like the 1970s, like still have VSR, what was it called, VHS, still have VHS like rolling in the TV so they can watch watch the videos. Like that's what we were doing in the group. So if you were to decide that you wanted to work in a hospital setting, one of the things that you could do in the scaffolding phase was to help provide support resources around SI and facilitating groups and give them some more material that they could use for those groups. So that's just one idea if you did decide that you wanted to work in the scaffolding phase. Another idea if you were wanting to work in a school setting and then work in the scaffolding phase that you could do is when I was working with the Head Start program, we used to have a woman who would come in and train the staff around case management approaches, which is actually what inspired me to start my consulting company, because she would come in and train us around how motivational interviewing, how to make connections and engagement with parents, how to talk to them about the importance of getting your child, making sure that they're kindergarten ready. And I look like, how are she coming into our organization teaching us? She don't even work here. So that's what really got me intrigued. And when she started teaching it, I was like, I could do this. Like I could teach this. So I started my consulting company. And had I knew then what I know now, I definitely could have started my mentorship around helping Head Start programs in schools train their Head Start staff. So if you're interested in school, I've done tons of trainings with teachers where schools have paid me to facilitate trainings for teachers at all levels, elementary school level, alternative schools. So if you have alternative schools in your community and you put forth the curriculum that can help with the mental health side that a lot of the teachers just aren't equipped to work with, that can be another opportunity for you if you wanted to move into the scaffolding phase. So I feel the same. Oh, wait, I don't understand what you said. You said you still feel that way sometimes with the resources, you mean, like rolling in those old resources? I'm definitely interested in consulting as well. Okay, that's great. So then anything that you decide that you want to do is always going to come down to your niche. It's always going to come down to your area of expertise. So let me know in the comment section, how long have you all been working within the profession, whether you're a social worker or a therapist? If you've been working in the profession for 3 years or more, you should already have a niche defined. You should already have a niche that you feel confident working with. The only way you would not have a niche if you have 3 years of experience, if you've been doing a lot of random and unrelated roles that don't connect to each other, and you've not given yourself time to develop that depth of knowledge. So I know someone here said that they wanted to do DBT and CBT. I think DBT and CBT are great tools, but those are not niches. They're not specializations. You can do DBT and CBT with literally any group. You could do it with women, you could do it with children, you could do it with couples, you can do it in literally almost any mental health condition. So you want to think about, are you going to be working with anxiety? Are you going to be working with the D word? Are you going to be working with SI? Are you going to be working with DV? Are you going to be working with executive functioning? Are you going to be working with high achievers? Like, you need to drill down who is going to be that area of specialization. Are you working with companies and corporations around their EAP program, or just training their staff in general, their wellness program? I've done trainings with organizations who have brought me in to do training, a part of their wellness initiatives. So you need an area of expertise. So if I was trained in wellness education, nutrition, how good eating impacts your energy, could connect that to staff retention. Anything that you do in terms of consulting, you have to tie that into staff retention. So right now I have a contract that I'm doing with a nonprofit organization. I'm facilitating a support group with their staff, and it's dealing with emotional stress, trauma, which is what I'm trained in now. So I did do a specialization in EMDR, and now I'm using that EMDR specialization to talk about what does it look like when we operate out of those negative core beliefs. So now I'm kind of helping their staff understand those core beliefs and how operating out of that can sometimes create those feelings of sadness and then those feelings of being burnt out. So you still need an area of expertise. Okay. Okay, I've been working in the clinic for a year and a half after my MSW. Okay, so you're still at that phase where you are still developing. So what did you say you wanted to do long term? Let me see. You said you want to do consulting. Really like the concept of developing in a niche, though I'm still considering what I want to do. Okay, so right now you're working in a clinic. So with the clinic, did you do the clinic work with the goal of developing your expertise? Because I think oftentimes, like I said, if I knew then what I know now, when I secured a role or when I worked in a role, I would have did it with the goal of increasing my expertise. Like I would not have just did a lot of random roles that weren't deepening my level of knowledge. Now I was able to develop that over time, but had I did that earlier and then had intention about using that depth of knowledge to create my consulting company, then I would have started off in a totally different position, because I would have had continued to build on that. What I didn't know then was like, okay, I'm gonna start this consulting company, but I didn't know to tie it to my school social work specialization. I was just like, okay, I'm about to start consulting. And then I started consulting around planning events. Like that didn't really have anything to do with the results that I was getting for teachers in the classroom, but I didn't know how to earn money from starting a consulting company doing that. So when I saw the lady teaching at the Head Start program, I didn't know how she was able to secure that contract or who she knew or what she talked to. I didn't know what an RFP was at the time. I didn't know anything. So I just started around something general like event planning, because I had been doing that in the Head Start program and I was really good at planning events. So we would do parent events, fundraisers. I would get sponsorship from banks. They would sponsor different things that we were doing for the students in the schools. So I got really good at planning community-based events. So then I started my nonprofit around that. I was featured on my local news station around event planning. So it was really good, but it was taking me away from my degree. And I'm like, okay, I spent a lot of money on this degree. I don't know if I want to use my time planning events that are really not utilizing the degree that I have. So I had to make a decision. I said, either I'm going to fully utilize this degree or that I paid a lot of money for, like master's degree and bachelor's, or I'm going to keep doing these random things that don't have anything to do with what I went to school for. And I made the decision to double down on my expertise and to figure it out with my degree. And that's what I did. So I definitely think if you're working in a clinic, you don't just want to randomly be working in a clinic. You want to be thinking about, with the work that I'm doing in the clinic, where is that leading me to? Are you working in a clinic because you're wanting to get expertise around a certain illness or something that people struggle with in their bodies? You're wanting to do more somatic work. So your work in a clinic needs to be tied to a bigger objective and a bigger career goal. And that's what's going to keep you from swirling around in those linear kind of jobs where you're just kind of going from generalist level job to generous level job and you're not developing that depth of knowledge. So you really want to be thinking about what that is and how you can begin developing that niche. So let me talk a little bit about how you do that. How do you develop your niche? Let me know. Tap the screen and give me some hearts if you all want me to kind of go into how you develop your niche. And then I could cover that. So tap the screen, let me know. If we could get to 60, that would be great. And then I could share with you how you, oh, perfect. Okay, that was fast, thank you. Okay, so I actually have a training, how to nail down your niche. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever taken a training about nailing down your niche, but this training is not like one of a basic training, like, oh, just think about your interests and think about what you want to do. No, that's not how this works. That's part of it, but that's not the thing that's going to help you be successful when we're talking about nailing down your niche. So let me get to my PowerPoint and then I could go over some of the points. And let me think, is this, oh yes, this training is available on my Stan store. And it comes along with, I have a list of 112 careers in social work. So you can get the 112 careers in social work plus this niche training on my Stan store. But let me just go over with you all some of the things that's covered in the training. Where is it? Nail down your niche. This isn't it. It needs to be more pages than that. Wait, do I call it that? Yeah, hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay, the training is called How to Define Your Area of Expertise. And again, it's on my Stan Store. I've been working, oh, I read that already. Okay, so developing your area of expertise. So when I was getting my master's, I think my bachelor's, we had to take economics, macroeconomics. I failed it the first time, but I passed it the second time. Do you guys still have to take macroeconomics for your degree? So the thing that makes, oh, thank you so much for joining my live. So the thing that makes this niche training different is I integrate a bit of microeconomics, not a lot, just a bit of it, because you need it. I didn't realize how important economics was until I started into marketing. When I started helping social workers with marketing and then coming online, marketing myself, my digital products, and my YouTube channel, then this is when macroeconomics made sense to me. Before, it made no sense. So now this niche training integrates a little bit of economics, but it's not like how it was. It's just supply and demand. So when you think about economics, that's really what we're talking about, is supply and demand. Meaning, does the thing that you want to do or the thing that you want to sell, is there a demand in the marketplace? That's what people won't tell you about niche. Defining a niche is not just about what you want to do and what you have a passion about, because we're talking about something that's going to be able to position you for a higher level income and something that you're going to be able to charge money for if you're consulting. So if you're just doing something that you have a passion about, the reason why that doesn't work when we're talking about a niche, because you have to consider the marketplace when you're developing your niche. So the way that I break it down for you in the training is I introduce you to the idea of you being, not you, just all of us being inside of a market. So when you think about a market, that is all of that what we learned in economics, that supply and demand, meaning you have something that you want, someone has something that they want to sell and then they're looking for people to buy it. It's the same way when you're working for a company or a corporation. The only thing is there's not an exchange of money, but there's an exchange of value, meaning you have something valuable in terms of your knowledge, your intellect, and your expertise that they're paying for, and that's the exchange that happens in a company. So you'll hear a lot of social workers say, oh, I want to be paid my worth. I want to be paid my worth. When you get into a corporate space or working with the business, they don't care anything about your worth. They're not hiring you for your worth. Your worth is intrinsic, it's inherent. They're not paying you for worth, they're paying you for value. So your goal becomes not thinking about, oh, I need to be paid what I'm worth. You want to be paid based off on what your expertise holds value in the marketplace, how it holds value in the marketplace, not your intrinsic worth. So then you want to think about, well, what skill sets does the market value? That's the real question that you need to ask yourself when you're identifying your niche. So you have to be able to go into the marketplace and see, what are people already paying a lot of money for? We already know some industries outside of ours get paid way more. So if you're in the education industry, that's a market within the larger society. So education is a market, legal is a market, tech is a market. We're in the social service market. Then you have health, that's a market, mental health, that's a market. So all of those different markets, you could say market or industry, all of those different markets and industries have a value exchange that they have with the consumer. And oftentimes people pay more money for certain services than they do for others. And the reason why some industries are able to get paid more is because they have unions, or they've been able to brand their industry in a way that they've positioned it as being valuable. So when you think about our profession as social workers, think about this for a second when we talk about marketing. What other profession do you know besides ours that when you think about that profession, that it's not tied to some type of image that makes you think about that industry? So let me ask that again. What other industry or market outside of social work, when you think of that market, that you don't automatically tie it to some type of image? We're the only industry that when you think about social work, there's no visual image that comes in your mind around what we do. Why is that? Our industry has not fully marketed and branded who we are and what we do, partly because it's vast, and I just don't think that we've really taken the time to understand how important us marketing ourselves is and positioning our value in the marketplace. So let me ask you this. When you think about a dentist, what image comes to mind when you think about a dentist? It could be multiple images. When you think about a dentist, what image comes to mind? You can put it in the chat. Teeth or tooth. When you think about a teacher, what image comes to mind? You can put it in the chat. Let me know. What image comes to mind when you think of a teacher? Books, a pencil, apple, the yellow school bus. Like, teachers have one of the best branded professions. When you think about a lawyer, what image comes to mind? Yeah, dentist, clean, blue, white. You have a visual image, and then you have like a sensory image, which is what you can hear, see, taste, touch. It has some type of imagery. Courtroom, a gavel, isn't that what that thing is called? When you think of a lawyer, you think of that. Yeah, suitcase, court, absolutely. A briefcase, exactly. When you think about, let's see, what's another industry? We said education. When you think about a doctor, now we talk about, oh, social work is so broad. It is broad, but doctor's profession is just about as broad as ours. Oh yeah, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Yeah, briefcase. Maybe that needs to be what it is for social work, is a suitcase. But yeah, I know what you meant. But when you think about a doctor, what do you think? I never pronounce it right, but you know what I'm talking about. Or a nurse. You think of the little white hat with the little Red Cross sign on it. All of those industries have branded themselves to where when you think of that industry, you get a visual representation of what they do. When you think about the social work profession, there's no visual representation that makes you think, oh, this is a social worker, or this is what a social worker does. We sometimes use like the hands that are like, because we say we're the head, heart, and hands profession. So you might notice hands or a heart that really embodies what we do. But that's just something that we know internally as social workers. People outside of our profession don't see hands and say, oh, that makes me think of a social worker. But they can see a tooth and say that makes me think of a dentist. Or even if you just saw a building with a big tooth on the front, you would know, oh, I need to go get my teeth fixed right there. So that's part of the issue with our industry, is that we've not branded ourselves, which then impacts our ability to have that exchange of value, because it's like, okay, so what am I paying you for? Like, this, what you do, like, nobody's in the marketplace is saying that this holds value. Like, I don't even know who you are and what you represent in the marketplace, so why should I pay you this? So I'm not saying that that's anyone's fault. I'm just telling you how this looks in the marketplace. So when you're thinking about your niche, you want to think about the overall market. So all of those industries that I just mentioned are all in the market, including us as social service professionals. We're in the market. So when you drill down one level into the market, then you have a target audience, meaning who are those people that you want to serve? So dentists are serving people who have issues with their teeth. Doctors are serving their target audience is people who, whatever procedure that they need. Lawyers are serving people who have some type of challenge or difficulty where they need representation with litigation. So then you have that target audience that defines who it is that you want to work with. So this is how you begin nailing down your niche. You take your broader market, all the people you have the potential to work with, and then you drill down on who is the target audience that you want to work with. Now, within that target audience, you still have a ton of people who you can work with in that target audience, but you want to begin to identify, like, who are those main people who I want to work with. So even in the legal profession, once you drill down to your target audience, you might say, okay, I want to work with people who have experienced an accident, or I want to work with people who have difficulty getting compensated, whatever that thing is. So the same thing applies for us. We have to decide who is that population that we want to work with, like I mentioned before. But then we have to drill a level down. So when you drill a level down, then you go to your ideal client. Your ideal client is that representation where you think about the physical demographics of that person, and then you think about the psychographics of that person. So when you think about the demographics of the person, you're thinking about where do they live, where do they shop, do they have any kids, how old are they, what is their ethnicity, what is their race, what is their social economic status. Those are all the demographics of the person. So this is your ideal client. So you want to think about who is that person. Where do they hang out? What do they like to eat? What do they listen to? Those are the demographics of the person. Then you want to get into the psychographics of the person, meaning how do they think? How do they behave? What do they want? What are their desires? This is going to be the thing that's going to begin to position you for those higher level, executive level roles when you know those specifics about the population that you want to work with. Because when you can go into an interview and talk about the population that you want to work with, those are the people that your companies that you're wanting to be hired with, or in your practice, those are the people who they're wanting to target for their services. So the more that you can talk about those people, what they like, what they don't like, how they think, why they do what they do, then that positions you as that expert. Again, having that depth of knowledge. Once you have that depth of knowledge and can provide insight about a target audience and an ideal client, then people say, okay, you have something of value. Like, that's valuable, that knowledge that you have, that expertise, that insight. Okay, we want to hire you so we can learn how you think and how you operate. So that's the value in knowing what your niche is, because the more you can target in on a specific niche, the more you know about the people within that niche. And then that is what begins to position you as an expert. So with the ideal client, and you're thinking about those psychographics, meaning how do they think, where do they shop, what are their desires, do they want more money, do they want to have children, do they want a six-figure salary, do they watch certain TV shows, where do they spend most of their time, what type of books do they read, do they listen to podcasts. Like, you want to know all of those things about the people that you're working with. And then when you're going on your interview, or when you're starting your practice or going into the scaffolding phase, the more you can talk about the problems and the pain points that target audience is experiencing, and then you have a solution that you can use, or that you know how to use using your clinical skills and your social work knowledge, then we're talking about high value. Then we're talking about high value skills. I really appreciate this live. You gave me a lot of great ideas to focus on. Okay, perfect. Good, I'm glad to hear that. So then after you've gone into the ideal client, you've identified the demographics and the psychographics, that's where your niche is. That's when you get to the niche. So if you've not done that level of work on deciding who it is that you want to serve and why, that's what it's going to require for you to be able to identify your niche. So if you would like access to this training, again, you could click the link on my name. And then you head over to my Stand store, and then it's the 112 Careers in Social Work download. You get 112 careers list, and then you get the niche training as like a bonus. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention, because I do have this niche training, but I'm also doing something else for social workers. Something else that I offer that I wanted to mention is my mentorship program. So I have a mentorship program, Design Your Career, where I help social workers design careers that they love and monetize what they know. So what that looks like is I've created a career to CEO pipeline for social workers. So you know how I was mentioned before about how we're taught about working in the micro, meso, and macro level of social work practice. So what this does, the program that I created, Design Your Career, not only are you learning about micro, meso, macro, but I created what I call the social work success path, which helps you start thinking outside of micro, meso, macro. And the reason why that's so important is because when I mentioned about that show, The Truman Show, I asked, had any of you ever seen that movie? The movie The Truman Show was about Jim Carrey. And let me know if y'all saw the movie. It was starring Jim Carrey, and he played a character that they just kind of followed him around in his life all day. And he would go to work, he would say hi to his wife, he would eat breakfast, he would read the paper, then he would go to work, do it all over again. So it just was a whole picture of his life. But what he didn't know was his entire life was a TV show. He didn't know that it was millions and billions of people around the world who had been watching him since he was a child, and his life had just been taking place on this show, but he thought his life was real. And it wasn't until one day, I think he was in the mirror, he was getting ready, he was shaving or something, and then a light fell and hit him on the head. And then he was like, where did this light come from? So then he just started getting all of these like inclinations, like, why does my day feel so redundant? So every day the same thing would happen. He would take the same route to work. He would say hi to his neighbors in the same way. He would do the same thing at work. And he started noticing like something is weird about this. You've seen The Truman Show? So yeah, I think that movie is hilarious. So in the movie, he then comes to realize like my life isn't real. Like the thing that I thought was real and true, it's been fake all along. Like this is not real life. And I think a lot of times that's what happens with us as social workers, is like we get stuck in this box and we begin to perceive that that's all there is. And that becomes our reality. Like micro, meso, macro is the only thing that exists for me as a social worker. And if I want to be successful, I have to operate in one of those three areas. And then that's the way that I'm going to find success as a social worker. One of the things that I wanted to do was to have that light come down and pop us on the head, like on the Truman Show. Like, wait, no, hold on. Micro, meso, macro is not the only way. Let me expose you to some other opportunities that exist outside of micro, meso, macro, so you understand that there's no limitation to you having to work in this one area of professionalism. So that's when I created the Social Work Success Path and help social workers define that trajectory. Like when you've worked in a career phase for 3 to 5 years and you're like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I think I got what it takes to step out on my own and create something for myself. Well, you need a framework to be able to start that consulting company or to start that coaching company or to know how to create content so that you can convert it into sales. So you need to know how to take that knowledge from the career phase and then start what you want to do in the scaffolding phase. And then if you say, I've worked in the scaffolding phase, I want to go all in on this, then you need to know, how do I take what I've been doing in the scaffolding phase and take it to scale? How do I build systems around it? What do I need to have in place in order for me to build a business around it? So this is a true career to CEO pipeline that I've created for social workers, therapists, helping professionals, LPCs, LICDC, LMSW, LCSW, any clinical social worker, BSW, MSW, who are wanting to take this path. Now, this is something you don't need additional certification. You don't need additional training. I was watching, there's a guy here on TikTok. We were in a community together. He's doing emotional regulation for women. I don't even think he's licensed. I don't think he's certified. He just makes videos. I have to ask him, like, do you have a degree in this? But he makes emotional regulation videos for women. And 2 of his videos recently have gone viral and hit 1.2 million views. So a lot of times what gets in the way is that we think that we don't know enough. We think that we're not smart enough. We think we don't have enough certifications. We think that because we're not done with our degree, we've not passed the licensing exam, we're still enrolled in school, that then we think that we have to wait for what we want. No, nobody's waiting. Like, life is going to keep moving on whether you decide to go all in on your goals or not. So what I wanted to do when I created Design Your Career was to help you not have to navigate by yourself like I had to navigate by myself when I first started my career. So if you know that mentorship is something that you are wanting, something you've been looking for, you can click the link in my profile and head to my Stand store, and then you'll see Design Your Career there. It's a 3-month mentorship program. If you've never followed me or seen me before, I operate off of a 12-week year model. So there's a book called The 12-Week Year. So instead of planning for annual goals, I break all of my goals down into 12 weeks. So if you choose to join Design Your Career, everything that we do is centered around 90 days or 12 weeks. So October is the last month that I'm going to be taking new social workers for us to work through October through December. And then the program won't open up again until December. So then we can start planning our next 90 days. So if you're interested, again, you can click the link in my profile, head over to my Stand store, and then you'll see the link to join. And I would love to have you inside of Design Your Career. So this Nail Your Niche program that I mentioned just now, you wouldn't have to purchase it because it's included inside of the Design Your Career mentorship. So with me talking about the career phase, scaffolding phase, social work CEO phase, in addition to you getting the Nail Your Niche program, one of my mentees is in there working to start her nonprofit organization. So the past 4 weeks we've been working on that, because that's one of the things that I used to do with my consulting company, was to help organizations start their 501c3. So you'll see a training in there for how to start your 501c3. It's a 5-point checklist, what I used to work clients through to get approved for their nonprofit status. So you'll notice on there that you have to create your board of directors, identify your name or complete your name search. You need to come up with your articles of incorporation. You need to submit your 1023 application to the Secretary of State, and then complete your statement of continuing existence. So when you do those steps, then you're able to start your tax, or have your tax exempt status, and start your 501c3. So she's working through that, and we meet every week, every Thursday at 7 p.m. and she's working through that inside the program. So I also have my Ramp Up Your Resume mini course in there. So if you need help with your resume, I have 4 different resume templates that you can use. I have 2 in there that are ATS compliant. So if you're applying for a role and it's not getting past the system, these resumes are compliant with that. So you shouldn't have, the formatting has already been evaluated and found to be compliant. So if you're applying for a role where that's the case, you don't have to worry about your resume not making it to the next phase, because these are all ATS compliant. So you have that in there. And then I'm always adding additional resources. So how I mentioned about wanting to starting digital products, or starting your consulting company, or in the career phase, or moving into the scaffolding phase, you also get access to over 13 already done for you digital products. So if you know that you want to start in the scaffolding phase, and it's like, well, I don't want to create all of these resources from scratch. Like, I need something that I could just use now and sell. I've created a ton of resources in there. Let me know. You can tap the screen or give some hearts, and I can let you know what these digital products are that I already have inside of Design Your Career. So let me know, and I'll go over to, it's housed in my school community. That's where you access the program. So let me know. You can tap the screen or put yes in the comments, and then I'll let you know what all of the digital products are that you get. So it's called the Digital Product Starter Vault. And then I can tell you what all digital products that you get in here. And I'm also going to be adding more in here. So if that's something where you wanted to start your digital product but didn't want to create it from scratch, these are already done for you. So if you all want me to share and let you know what's in here, I can. So let me count how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let me see. 14. So right now I have 15 different ones, and I can share what these 15 are. So these are the done for you digital products that I have inside of Design Your Career. If you all don't want me to share, then I don't have to, but if you want to know what they are, you can say yes or tap the screen so you can send me some hearts and let me know that you want me to mention it. If not, I can move on. And then we can continue to talk about identifying your niche within a profession and what you need to have in place. Did I miss something? Okay. So until I see some hearts, I'll just kind of move on. And then when I see the hearts, or if you put yes in the comments letting me know that you want me to share what digital products are in the Digital Product Starter Vault, then I'll share it. But I'll just kind of move on for now. Excuse me. So one of the other things that I wanted to mention, so when you're defining and narrowing down what your niche is, and you're thinking about how do you begin to think about what this target population is that you want. I had mentioned before that you want to think about the market. Is there a demand in the market for the population that you want to serve? So what that looks like is everything that we want to do as social workers, just because we have a passion to do it, doesn't mean that, again, it's going to translate to the market. Like, is the market going to pay for this? So let me go through these steps. Let me go back to my presentation and show you like how the alignment needs to work in order for you to know if your niche is profitable. Okay, let me get back to the PowerPoint. Oh, here it is. Okay, so what I suggest that you do is a passions, interest, and market, like you list that out. Let me see, where's the name of it that I called it? Passions, talent, market assessment. Okay, so when you do, this is what I call your passion, talents, and market assessment. So think about 3 concentric circles. And within those concentric circles, you have writing down all the things that you're passionate about. Because just because you're passionate about something, that doesn't mean that you want to do it as your business. You might just want to keep it as something that you enjoy doing. You might not want to monetize it. And I highly recommend that, just having things that you're passionate about that you don't have to monetize. So your passions are going to be all the things where you are loving to do it, whether someone pays you or not. It lights you up. You get excited to talk about it. You can talk about it for days. It's just one of those things that you enjoy. It could be reading books. It could be riding a bike. It could be handwriting. I know it's a lot of people here on TT. Like, if you go to their pages, they're just writing really pretty names in different type of scripts, different types of fonts. They're doing it on sand. They're doing it in calligraphy. Like, they have a passion around it. So that's one thing. You want to be able to write down all of your passions. What is it that you really enjoy doing? And then you want to write down your talents. So your talents are all of those skills that you have that are just natural to you, that maybe it comes easy to you, but it could be hard for other people, but you kind of just brush it off like, oh, well, anybody can do that. It's like, no, anybody can't do that. Like, that's a real skill. That's a talent that you have. So you want to think about, what are those talents? So talents can be the things where you were born to do it, or you could have developed the skill and then it became a talent. But typically for talents, it's just those things you were just naturally born to do. Like, some people are naturally born to sing or naturally have good handwriting. Like, you don't have to try to do it. You just have it. So you want to write down all of those things too. Now, I also highly recommend for your talents that you 100% keep things just a talent. Like, you don't want to monetize or make money off of that, because I oftentimes see that you draw the love out of the talent when you start making money from it, because it's like you're always tying that to a monetary value, and then you just lose your desire to want to do it. So you want to identify some things that you just do for fun that you don't want to make money from. So you have those top 2 where you have your passions, then you have your talents, and then at the bottom of those circles, so again, these are concentric circles, then you want to think about the market, meaning what is the market going to pay for? What are all of those things that the market is saying, yes, we would pay for this, yes, this has value, and you want your niche to be the convergence of all 3 of those, your passions, your talents, and the marketplace. So if you just have your passion and your talents, and you don't have the market saying that I'll pay for it, then you just have a passion project. That's when you hear people a lot of times say that, or starving artists, meaning you have something that you enjoy doing, you have the talent to do it, but if there's no convergence with the market, they've not said that they want to pay for that. So then you're going to have a hard time selling it. You're going to have a hard time trying to demand a lot of money for it, because it's just a passion and a talent that you have with no market demand. So that isn't going to work. So if you have your passion, like, oh, I really love doing this, and the market wants it, but you're not talented at doing it, then that's when you start feeling like an imposter. That's when you start feeling like, am I really good enough? Can I really do that? Because you're passionate about it. The market is like, yes, we need this. You enjoy doing it, but you're not talented in it. You don't have a depth of knowledge and a skill where it feels like it comes natural. So you always feel like you have something to prove, because you don't feel like you're good enough at doing the thing. So if you're missing that you got to have all 3 going at the same time. So then if you have talent, like, I'm really good at doing this, it comes natural, and the market wants it, but you don't have passion around it, that's how you easily get burnt out. Because it's like, I really enjoy doing this. I could do this all day and don't have to get paid for it. But because you do it so well, the market wants to pay you for it. But because you're doing it and you're starting to lose the passion for it, because it's like, I don't want to just do this for money. I just want to be able to do it without all of this pressure of having to make money from it. Then you're going to lose your passion, and then you're going to burn out easily, because the passion is only coming because you're being compensated for it. So you want to have all three of those things working for you at the same time. And then in the middle is kind of like that sweet spot where all three of those things are working. So there's a detriment to having two of those things working without all three working at the same time. So when we're talking about you developing your niche, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the passions that you have, the talents, and then does the market want to pay for it? And then you'll just write all of those things down and then see where that convergence is. And then in the middle, like that's how I mentioned, is your sweet spot, and that's what we call like your zone of genius, where you're operating on all cylinders. You're doing the thing you're passionate about. You have the talent to do it, so you feel confident in it. And then the market is like, yes, we'll pay you for this. So that's how you'll develop your niche in the career phase, and then also when you move to the social work CEO phase, and then the scaffolding phase when you're building your consulting company or whatever it is that you want to do on the side. So does anyone have any questions about narrowing down your niche? I told you it was a little bit of economics in it, not too much, but just enough for you to know, like, this is not, it's not as simple as just defining your passion and going with that. Like, we have to go beyond like simplistic ways of thinking about how to navigate our careers, because it's not just about, do you like it? Like, you can like a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that the market wants to pay you for the things that you like to do. Does anyone have any questions about that? Anyone have any questions about developing your niche or identifying your area of expertise? Now, it is actually going to require that you do these exercises. Like, this is how you define your expertise and kind of take the guesswork out of what you want to do. And you have to pick one thing and just go with it. And that's one of the reasons why I like planning around 12-week years or 90 days, because when you plan around 12-week years, you give yourself enough time to see if you're going to enjoy it, and then you can move on to the next thing. So a lot of times with us as social workers and therapists, we try to do all the things at once. Like, well, let me put my hand in this, and let me try coaching, and let me run a group, and let me do immigration evaluations, and let me do all of these different things. And all of those things are great, but you don't have to do all of those things all at once. Like, allow yourself time to focus on one thing, develop your depth of knowledge around that, and then see if you like it. Like, there's nothing that says you have to have all of these things going at once if they're not in alignment, because that's how you like stretch yourself too thin, and then you really just have a lot of unfulfilled projects where you're really not getting anything of value from any of those things. So the way that I think of it is when you have a desire to do something and you're trying all of these different things in the profession, like, well, let me see if I want to sell digital products, and let me start consulting, and then let me start doing training, and let me start a group, and let me do evaluations, and let me do all these different things. Think of it like there's a big backyard, and then you have this shovel, and then you just start digging a hole. Like, okay, let me look into getting my MSW. Then you start doing that. It's like, oh no, maybe I don't want to finish the program. Then you start digging another hole, and then you say, well, let me see if I want to sell digital products. Then you start digging a hole, selling digital products. Then you don't see any success from that. Then you go over, then you start digging another hole, and then you say, oh, well, let me see if I can get my coaching certification. Then you start digging a hole, getting your coaching certification. And then you look up, and then you just have all of these holes that you can't get any fruit from there. Like, nothing can manifest if your goal is to create a garden, or to have like flower beds or hydrangeas or whatever it is that you want to plant. If you just have all of these holes dug, but you've not cultivated, planted any seeds, then nothing can grow from that. So you want to focus on one thing that you can do, where you can water it, you can cultivate it, you can make sure that it's growing, that it's sustainable, and then you can use the fruit of that and then move to something else. But you don't want to have all of these multiple things going at the same time, stretching yourself too thin. And that was one of the mistakes that I made earlier in my career, because things just weren't happening fast enough for me, at least not fast enough that I perceived it. Like, I need for this to be happening quickly. Like, I need this to happen now. And because of that, I was working on committees, I was planning events, I was trying to run a consulting company, I was working my 9 to 5. Like, I was doing all of these different things, but nothing was really getting me traction in my career, and I didn't have that depth of knowledge like I mentioned about, where I was leveraging that to move my career forward. So know that having a lot of things that you can do well, or being a Jill of all trades or a Jack of all trades, I mean, that sounds cute, but it don't give you a lot of cash flow being a Jill or a Jack of all trades. So you want to have something where when someone's looking for someone in your community, like, we need someone to talk about DV, or we need someone to talk about emotional regulation, you want your name to come up at the top of the conversation, where they're saying, oh, I know such and such talks about this, or such and such at this agency or this organization, I know she does this. So you want your name to be in rooms because of the expertise that you have. And if you're not creating that in your career, then you're missing the opportunity to begin to position yourself as an expert. So know that the goal is to move from a breadth of knowledge, like having a mile wide knowledge, to a depth of knowledge. We want it to be deeper than that. We want to move away from surface level generalist understanding of things, and we want to have a depth of knowledge. So does anyone have any questions about that? And I also want to say that also even applies when we talk about motivational interviewing and cognitive behavioral therapy, because sometimes, like, I think someone said it earlier on the live, like, I think we think that that's a niche, knowing cognitive behavioral therapy or motivational interviewing or having those skills. That's just the base. That's just the foundation that you build from. That's not a niche or an expertise. You want to be able to build on that expertise with something that has a little bit more specificity and something with some specialization behind it. Anyone have any questions on that, or any ideas that you're working on that you would want to flesh through? And again, if any of you want me to mention these digital products idea that I have inside of Design Your Career, let me know, and then I'll let you, I'll tell you which ones I have in not digital dollars, but inside of Design Your Career. So if you do want to move into the scaffolding phase, you don't have to worry about creating anything from scratch. Everything is created for you. You get the scripts to go with it to sell it. You get the graphic design already done. It's niche specific, so all you would need to do is to show up online, create your content, which could be a podcast, it could be reels, it could be a YT channel. And inside of Design Your Career, I show you how to sell it. Like, what do you need to be creating online for it to sell? Any reputable training certification program you can recommend? What training and certification around what? Because I don't know, maybe I should introduce myself. So I help social workers design careers that they love and monetize what they know. I'm not really big on getting a lot of certification programs and training if you don't know what you want to do and who you want to serve. I don't think it's necessary, especially when we're talking about online. Oh, okay. I don't really, I think that's where we get stuck, Mel. I'm not a big proponent on getting a training and certification program. Unless it's really going to help, unless you need it. Like, I'm sure oftentimes when I talk to social workers, y'all don't even be needing all of that extra stuff y'all be having. Like, y'all be having 15 letters behind your name. You don't need all of that. You probably only need to take one of those letters that you have behind your name and just learn how to leverage it better. But tell me, what is it that you want to do, and then I'll let you know if I if I know of a certification program. Let me go see. Okay, you don't have nothing on TikTok, because I was about to say, if you're making content on TikTok, then I know you probably already have some expertise that you can be leveraging, where you probably don't even need another certification we sometimes get these certifications because we think it's going to validate who we are and what we know. Nothing on TikTok. Okay. See? Okay. CPTSD. See, you don't need a certification for that. You really don't. I believe if you already have experience in that, do you already have experience in it? Are you working in it now? And if you are, what expertise do you have right now where you wouldn't have to go and get an... Pessy be messing us up. Let me tell y'all, Pessy is a marketing company. Pessy don't have nothing to do with continuing education. It's a marketing company. Pessy, all of these companies that's selling all of these trainings and certifications is only making you think you need that stuff. You don't need all of that extra stuff. Okay, you have some. How much is some? A year, 2 years? How long have you been working with complex trauma? About a year ago. Okay, are you working in it now? The target population that you're working with? Are you working with them now? And then in the next 5 years, is that what you want to be doing? Or are you just doing that now and you really want to do something else? Or do you really want to be an expert around complex trauma? Because oftentimes, I really think all we need to do is read more. I don't think you need a certification. I think you need to get some books off of Amazon. No, I see myself delving into complex trauma for the long term. Okay. How many complex trauma books do you have right now on your bookshelf that you've read? Not books for school. Outside of school, how many books on complex trauma have you read? Or at least started to read. Even if you didn't finish it, how many books? Okay, Mel, this is my challenge to you. It's a book on Amazon. I think it's got some puzzle pieces on it. It's blue. Let me go to Amazon, amazon.com. And the reason why I'm saying this is because these certifications be having us in a chokehold, feeling like we got to get all this extra stuff. Now, I will not, lie and say that I didn't get trained. When I worked for my 9 to 5, they paid for it. I was trained in conscious discipline. I was working in school, working in Head Start program, and working with kids. So I am trained in conscious discipline. And then when I started my private practice, my specialization is trauma. So I got trained in EMDR. Okay. Okay, let me see. So right now, here it is, the complex PTSD workbook, 1931. It's a book on here for $12. Another book on here for $16. $16.99. I would want you to read 2 books. With this one, complex PTSD workbook would be one, because I have that one. And another highly rated book on Amazon. Get you 2 books to read front to back on complex trauma and see if you don't have more of a depth of knowledge about it after you read those books. Okay, do that. Get the books, read them, understand the concepts. It's an audio book on here. Oh wait, let me see. This is a memoir. Maybe not that. Then you got one. This one is $41. That's probably a textbook for like school. The Body Keeps the Score. That's a classic. Have you got The Body Keeps the Score? You definitely want to read that when you're talking about trauma. Perfect. Have you read it? The Body Keeps the Score? I didn't finish it. Okay. I would say finish it. Understand the concepts in the book. Get other books specifically around complex trauma. And do that before you invest in a certification. And if you do need to look up something more, see if these books have supplemental material, look up the author's name, and then listen to, watch, and read stuff from the author. So oftentimes people on here will have a YouTube channel, they'll have like supplemental materials, they'll have an IG page. Look up these authors, listen to their videos, watch their podcast interviews, and develop your expertise that way. You don't need another certification. I don't believe. I mean, this is my opinion, but oftentimes I don't think we need all of that stuff. It's a lot of books on here that if you just read the book, you'll get the knowledge. Hope you're doing well. Oh, Jordan, hi. How are you? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. So good to see you. So that's what I recommend. And I would be curious, check back in with me. If you do what I'm suggesting for you to do, go onto Amazon. How have you been, Jordan? Let me know what you're doing now. Go onto Amazon, read the books, look up the authors, listen to their podcasts, their YouTube channel, videos, podcast episodes, and then finish The Body Keeps the Score. Get 2 more books on complex trauma and see if that doesn't help you. I believe it absolutely would. Because the thing about it is, you're always going to be presented, somebody's always going to be presenting some type of certification for you to make you feel like you're inadequate, like you don't know enough, like, oh, you need this certification or you need to get this training. Like, no, you don't. You don't need to have that certification or that training. You just need to commit to getting the knowledge, and you can get the knowledge through reading. So that's what I will recommend. It's been a long time. I'm good. Have you for the last 2 years? Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Everybody, Jordan worked in my practice, and she was amazing. So I'm so excited to hear that you are doing travel social work. That's amazing. Congratulations. So, anyone else have any questions about developing your expertise, narrowing down your niche, how you decide what it is that you want to do within a profession? So, I just want to say, I just want to say that I work with a lot of social workers, and I think one of the things that gets in our way the most is, I talked about this earlier, I did a live earlier, I'll probably post it to my YouTube channel. It's not that we don't have the skills, it's not that we don't have the knowledge, it's really, to me, it comes down to our self-efficacy. It comes down to our ability to believe that we have it within ourselves to succeed. If you don't develop your self-efficacy, nothing that you do is going to work, because you're always going to be thinking you're inadequate, that you don't know enough, that success is for everybody else and it's not for you. So you got to grow that belief that you have what it takes to do what it is that you say that you want to do. So when I talked about my mentorship program, that's the foundation of what we start on, is mindset, your self-efficacy, your belief within yourself. You knowing that what is for you, if you have that desire, if you have that inkling and that inclination within your spirit, that wasn't placed in you for no reason. That wasn't placed in you to lie dormant. It was placed in you to act upon it, to activate it, to see what was possible, to create the thing that's in you, that you have the desire to create. And if you don't know like the steps to take, that's why I encourage everyone to get into mentorship. If you don't want to get into my mentorship, get into someone else's mentorship. I believe I have the best mentorship. Yes, I do, because you don't see a lot of other career to CEO pipeline mentorships for social workers. You see some that help you get a higher level job, like a macro job, or you'll see mentorship that maybe will show you how to start a private practice or something like that. But this one goes beyond private practice and macro level work. This goes into helping you become a content creator, how to make content online, how to start a YouTube channel, how to monetize what you know through digital products. Like, you get a lot more robust. And this is not a knock against anyone. I don't really know what other people's programs include. I just know what I see. And based off what I see, I know what I'm offering. And I think that if you know that you want to make content, and if you know that you want to begin to leverage your knowledge and leverage your expertise into something that is going to work for you, where you're not relying solely on your 9-to-5. We're at a day and time now where having one stream of income, that's too close to zero. Like, you have to be able to create something for yourself using your own knowledge and expertise. And you're capable of doing that. So I'll mention it again. If anyone here knows that you've been looking for mentorship, you want to learn more about the program that I have, you can click the link in my profile, click my name, it'll take you over to my stand store, and then you'll see the Design Your Career Mentorship Program, and you could click the link, and it's a 3-month mentorship program. And the last day to join is October 31st. After that, the doors will close because we're going to be focusing on our goals. We're going to be doing some Black Friday sales planning in there. I mentioned one of the mentees is working on her 501c3, so we're getting her board set up, her launching her nonprofit, and then by December, then we'll open up the doors again if anyone else would want to join at that time. But for now, we're kind of going all in on these next 12 weeks. So you can click the link if you know that you would want to be a part of the mentorship. You'll get access to the Nail Your Niche program that I just mentioned, how to start your 501c3 nonprofit organization, the digital product library. So if anyone wants me to mention the done for you digital products that are inside of Design Your Career, you can tap the screen with some hearts to say yes in the comments. And then thanks, Jordan, for coming into my live. I appreciate that. You can tap the screen or say yes in the comments if you want me to mention what the digital products are that are included inside of the mentorship. And when I say digital products, these are just like resources that you can use to sell online. So if you know that you've been seeing a lot of people make content and videos, and you're like, oh, I can make content or I can make videos around something, but then they're selling something too, then you're like, well, I don't have anything to sell. Like, what would I sell? I've put together social work specific digital products that you can sell that I've already created. So someone says, yes, please tell. Okay, so let me tell you all, these are the digital products that are already done for you inside of the mentorship program. So it's like 15 of them in here. So I have, these are all done. I wish I could show you what they look like, but so I have in here a self-care journal. This one is like 20 pages. One is called a safe space anxiety journal. So if your niche is working with women with anxiety and you wanted to start making content online talking about how to manage and self-regulate, and you wanted to have a or an anxiety journal to go along with that, I have a journal already created in here for you. If you work with teens or for kids, I have a mental health workbook for teens, a social anxiety book for teens. It's a workbook, boundary setting for teens. So this is all my kids and teen section. Grief journal for teens. So if you wanted to start making content online, for example, and you know that you wanted to focus on teens, this content is directed toward you helping parents. So you're not talking to the teens because they don't have the capacity to be able to, for your services. So you would help parents and say, is your teenager struggling with social anxiety? Or have you ever noticed that your teenager clams up when it's time for them to perform? or whatever that pain point is. And then you would have this digital product that you could say, click the link in my profile and you can get access to my social anxiety workbook for teens. And then your expertise would be creating content where you're talking about what a teen would be struggling with, why that happens, what are some symptoms of it, how a parent can help. And that's how you begin leveraging your expertise online. I have a grief journal for teens. For mindset, I have a visualizing success worksheet. So if you're wanting to work with people around mindset or DBT or overcoming mental blocks and mental challenges, I have that. If your specialization is in relationships, I have a love languages worksheet, emotional intelligence for strong relationships. So if you're working with couples, you're a marriage and family therapist, you can get access to that. These are all done for you, all put together, all branded, already designed. So you can start using it as soon as you would want to start selling. I have doula resources in here, so end of life doula forms. I probably shouldn't have said that. Doula contract and contract forms. These are like your intake forms if you're a doula. Then I have a client guide and workbook. Then for boundaries, we have a boundaries journal that you can use, a GRIEF relief journal. And then I have some coloring pages for Black women. So let me see if I could do this anxiety journal. And all of these are Canva documents. Do you all use Canva? Okay, let me view this template. Let me see if I can open editor. I'm gonna see if I can maybe adjust my computer, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. Let me go to my view. Let me go to, I need to view it. Not that. Share, public view link, create public view, copy. Okay, let me see if I could show you all what one of these looks like on my laptop. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to see this. Hold on, my computer be acting weird. Let me see. Oh, okay, let me see. Okay, this is one of the workbooks. So you get this already created. Inside of the program. And all of these are all different pages inside of this one workbook. So that was like 20 pages. That's just one. Let me show y'all another one. So this is something that you could just take it. It's already filled out. Like you don't even have to add the words to it. What other one would y'all want me to show y'all based off what I said? Is it any other one? Some of them are shorter than others, but most of them are pretty long. Any of the other ones that I mentioned that you all will want to see what it looks like? The doula one or the coloring pages or the emotional intelligence one? Or I could pick one. Or is it one specific that you all will want to see? Emotional intelligence? Okay. So let's look at that one. Okay. View template. Open in editor. Okay, so this one is emotional intelligence for strong relationships, developing emotional intelligence for strong relationships. So let me, present. Maybe this is what I should have did. Present. Okay, so this is, and all of these images are from Canva, and I added in these images. So this is the cover. Let me see if I can. So I don't know if y'all can see, like, the words are already there. Like, so this isn't where it's like templates where you got to still put the words in. Like, everything is already in here. This is what I mean by done for you. So you see how you don't even have to add the words. Now you can word it and phrase it however you want to, but the whole thing is already done for you. So that's that one. That's the emotional intelligence one. So these are literally, so like on the page that I'm on, it says developing emotional intelligence is crucial for building strong and healthy relationships by cultivating self-awareness, managing emotions, practicing empathy and enhancing communication, developing conflict skills, building resiliency and practicing emotional regulation can increase growth that helps you become a more emotionally intelligent individual. So the information is already there. That's what I mean by done for you. So this isn't like the picture's not there, you got to add in the content. Like all the 15 that I mentioned, all of them look like that, where it's already done. So if you don't have a digital product that you want to sell and you know you want to move into the scaffolding phase of your career, those are the resources that you have inside of Design Your Career. And I'll be adding more. So the beauty about this is the more social workers that join and you all tell me what area of expertise and you know that you want to sell digital products, but you're like, Monique, I don't have the time to create it. I want something around X, Y, and Z. Then if you want something around X, Y, or Z, then I'll put something in there that's going to help you get selling quickly. Like, we don't have a lot of time to be trying to put all of these resources together if you know you're ready to get started. Like, it's no point in taking forever to make Canva documents if you could just utilize the ones that I've already put inside of the mentorship. So not only does this, help you believe that you can do it, but it takes the guesswork out of like, what am I going to sell? What am I going to put together? It doesn't have to be any guesswork around what it is that you're doing. So does anybody want to see another one? Or do you guys have a pretty good picture of what's included? So if you are considering being a part of the mentorship program and you know that you want to move into the scaffolding phase, create something for yourself, start making digital products, those are just two of the ones that you get access to. Again, you can click the link in my profile. The mentorship program closes October 31st. So if you know that you want to be a part of it, we're going to be planning out our career goals. You get access to the entire Design Your Career curriculum inside of the mentorship program, as well as all the other nail your niche, ramp up your resume, all the things that, you need to develop in your career, so that career phase, transition into the scaffolding phase, or if you need help and support with your private practice marketing, that's also what you get. So if no one has any questions or no one else wants to see another one of the resources, you guys can ask any questions that you might have about navigating your career and what that needs to look like, what things you need to be prioritizing. Because one of the things that I think is important when we're talking about moving from the career phase to the scaffolding phase, the social work CEO phase, you're going to have to be so focused in on your goals when you're deciding what you want to do, because it's going to be so easy for you to get distracted. Like right now, it's so many things going on in the world. You guys know what's going on with the SNAP benefits and what's possibly going to happen on November the 1st. Like, we're so inundated with all of these negative things that are happening around us. And this is what I was talking to a social worker about earlier today. She contacted me for a career clarity call, which I also offer career clarity calls. So if you wanted to book one of those, you get a free 15-minute career clarity call with me. You just click the link in my profile. So I met with her today, and she's a year into her role. And then sometimes with that, because we are taught social work like we're superheroes or we're here to help people, which we absolutely are, a part of that is us not dissociating the work that we do with who we are as people. And we sometimes believe that we have to be martyrs to the work. And that's one of the things that I tell social workers so much, is like, you don't have to be a martyr to this work. Like, you have to have a distinction between the work that you do and not taking all that on as a part of your identity. Like, you doing this work is not who you are. This is just a part of your profession. Now, a lot of those principles are definitely embedded into who I am as a person. Like, I believe I'm a social worker to my core, but I don't take on the weight of societal problems and internalize those as mine. And I think that's oftentimes a lot of where we struggle with social work, is because we think it's our job to fix problems or our job to help people, which it is, but it's not our job to take on the weight of the system. A lot of these problems that we're working with families on, and youth, and working in schools, and working in our consulting practices and doing what we're doing, a lot of these issues existed well before us, well before we came into the profession. So we can't have all of this weight on our shoulders as if it's ours to fix. These are systemic issues. These are systemic problems. These aren't individual issues and problems. So we can't think that a client's success is going to rise and fall on our watch, because it's not. Your goal as a social worker is to plant a seed into the lives of the families that you serve. You never know when that seed will root. You don't know when it will bloom. The only thing you do is just leave small seeds to impact people's lives in the season that you're in it. And your goal and your hope is that, based off of the seeds that you planted, that their lives will continue to improve. But you have, just like when you plant a seed, you have all of these external things that are beyond your control. You can't control when it's going to rain. You can't control how the wind blows. You can't control whether or not the sun is going to shine. So as long as you plant the seed, you've done the work that you were supposed to do. And what happens as a result, or what happens after you've encountered these families, some of those things you can't control. And one of the things that she was struggling with when I was talking with her today is her agency has a lot of expectations of her, because she works on like productivity numbers. So because she works on productivity, when her families cancel, that impacts her productivity numbers. So we had to talk through some strategies, which is not her fault if her families cancel, but if they do, she still wants to make sure that she has good systems in place that can keep that from happening. So if you're in direct practice working with families, you absolutely want to make sure that you're following up with your families before you're scheduled to meet. The way that you develop rapport with your families are going to determine whether or not they cancel. So you want to make sure that you have a really good way of developing rapport with your families. And then you also want to make sure, if you're doing direct practice and you're going into someone's home, or you're working with them like on an appointment basis, you want to schedule the next appointment before you leave their home. So before you wrap up the session, before you walk out the door, you want to already have that next session on your planner, so that they're already anticipating that it's going to come up again. And then the day before and the day of, you want to call and text them to let them know that you're still coming. So those are the systems that you want to have in place to kind of keep your families from canceling. Now, that's not always going to be the case, because life is going to happen. But you still want to have things in place that you can control. You can control your calendar. You can control the fact that you can schedule the meeting with them before you leave. You can control the fact that you're going to call and text them before and the day of. Now, you're not going to do it all the time. Like, sometimes you're going to forget yourself, or you're going to get busy, which is fine. But you at least want to have your system set up to where that's how you try to operate majority of the time. The other thing that we talked about is overextending herself, because her agency has this expectation that when she works with families, that she's supposed to provide them with all of these resources, which makes it hard for her to do the actual work that she's supposed to be doing. So we had to kind of talk through, like, well, how can you systemize that? If you know that your agency is wanting you to give all these resources, then when you go into the home to work with the family, that's all they're wanting to know. Like, where's my waiver? Am I going to be able to get this? Like, I need help with my utilities. Like, people's wants are always going to outweigh what you have the capacity to provide. Like, everybody's not providing utility assistance. Everybody's phone bill is not going to get paid. Like, there are limited resources to go around within your community. So you can't be responsible for making sure that everybody gets access to everything. Like, that's not your role. Your role is to make sure that people have the resources that they need. If those resources aren't in existence anymore, then they're not in existence anymore. You can then help people think through, like, what can you do in the meantime? Can you reduce some costs? Can you get help from a family member? Like, you want to begin helping having them think about what it is they can do to improve that part of their lives, not you going out trying to find all of these services all the time. But if you know that that's a part of your role to provide services, one of the things that I mentioned to her, she said, because we're all in this group chat together, and it gets overwhelming because my agency is always dropping these resources into this group chat. So, and then they're wanting us to share these resources with the family. So one of the things that I recommended for her was, I would say, to keep yourself from getting overwhelmed with those resources, create one document, create one Excel document, create one Word document, and this is your resources list. Whenever your agency drops another resource in that group chat, add it to this resource list and then provide that resource list to your clients. So that way you're not always having to be the one to send them the resource. All you do is update the form, make sure all your clients have access to it, and then you just text them and call them and say, hey, a new resource was added to the resource list. And you've done your part in making sure that your families have access. You don't have to keep sharing everything with them. You just let them know that this is updated. This is going to be an ongoing list that you're always going to have access to it. And then you could just go, you can categorize the resources by making tabs, maybe in an Excel sheet, so they know how to navigate finding the things that they need. So that's going to take a lot of pressure off of you to feel like you have to always go out and search all of these different resources and provide them with the things that they need. You just create like a mini phone book, like we had back in the day with the yellow pages. So you create them a little mini phone book where they could just have access to these links, and then it links directly to the resource. That you could do a collateral call. So a collateral call is where you call on behalf of the client first, just to make sure that the resource is still viable, that they still have funding before you have them call. And then, you know, they get frustrated because they called and then no money is available or it's no longer operational. So you can absolutely do that, and then just keep the resource list updated. So that was one of the things that I mentioned to her, and I'm saying that to you because sometimes when we have so many things that we have to do, creating systems is going to be imperative. Like all the moving parts that comes with being a part of the profession, it's going to be hard to keep up with everything that you need to do. So the more that you can systemize your tasks, the easier it's going to be. So when I think about systemizing tasks, you want to think about what are those things that you do repetitively in your role. So if anyone wants to put something in the comments, you could put in the comment, what is one of those things in your role where you literally have to do it every day, every other day, every week, or every month? Those are the things that you want to systemize. Oh, hey Shawan, thanks for joining my live. So is there anything within your role that you do it every week, every day, or every month? And you want to think about what systems can you put in place that's going to make it easy for you to do those things, so you don't have to keep doing it over and over again. And you want to be able to use like chat, an Excel sheet, some type of automation to where it gets done automatically, hopefully without you having to keep doing it over and over again. So I know within my practice, what was something that was repetitive for me that would kind of be something that we would all be responsible for doing outside of documentation, because we know we all we all have to do that. Oh, I know. So for my cleaning, so, and this is simple. Like you probably are already doing this. This is just an example. So I knew within my practice, before I had a virtual practice, I had an office space. It had 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms and a conference room. So that was my second office. I had another office where I first started with 2, and then after my landlord put me out of that one because he wouldn't fix my roof, and I told him, like, I'm not responsible for the roof. You guys said I'm responsible for everything on the inside. Y'all said y'all was responsible for everything on the outside. And then when I asked, like, are y'all gonna fix the roof? Because it just leaked into my unit for the second time. He was like, oh, since you're not happy here, we're not gonna renew your lease. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to find another office. And luckily I found one that wasn't too far from where I was, and they were able to do like a full build out for me. It was included in my lease amount, obviously. Like I had to pay for it, but they configured it with the number of offices that I needed. They added cabinets, did a lot of the work on the inside. So that's where I was before I transitioned into a virtual practice. But just kind of keeping that clean, because it was bigger than my other space, but that was something that I systemized. So one of the things that I always say is you want to look at all the tasks that you have, all the responsibilities, all the priorities, and you want to see the things that you can automate, delegate, or eliminate. So when you're eliminating, these are the things that you absolutely don't need to be doing. Someone else could do it. If you weren't like feeling guilty or responsible, like it had to fall on you, this would be the thing that you could like just take it off your list, like get somebody else to do it. So there's some things that you could absolutely eliminate if you just gave yourself permission to not have to do it. So once you eliminate some things off of your list, that's going to take down some of your responsibilities. Then you delegate it, give it to somebody else to do it. Maybe you said yes to something that you really wanted to say no to, or you felt pressure to do something that you really don't have the capacity to do. You can then delegate that back to the person who's supposed to do it, or maybe do it this last time and then don't agree to do it again. So, but we've all had those situations in our career where we were like voluntold to do something. I had plenty of committees that I worked on when I was working in my jobs, where it was like, Monika, we want you to be head of the marketing committee. It was like, are you telling me I have to be a head of the marketing committee, or are you asking me? So, I mean, it worked out because, you know, it gave me a lot more marketing experience where I was able to work closely with the marketing department and create like a lot of really nice ads and marketing material for our department. But it was an additional responsibility. So I really couldn't delegate that, but know some things that you, and I wanted the opportunity because I felt like it would better position me for the things that I wanted to do afterwards. But if you know that there's something that you have on your plate where it can be delegated to someone else, you want to look at your capacity to be able to do that. So you want to eliminate some things, you want to delegate some things, and then you want to automate some things. So the things that you can automate are, again, all of those reoccurring things that you know are going to happen on a weekly or daily basis. So I'm sure a majority of you guys are scheduling your emails. So if you're not doing that, you can absolutely automate your emails. Those things that just have to happen every week. So you'll go in, schedule it for the day and time that it needs to be sent out, and just have it be automated. If it's something that has to continue to reoccur on your calendar, you can automate that. So just think about what those different tasks could be. If there's some type of paperwork that needs to be done, then it could be a potential way for you to automate that, maybe using chat GPT. So once you've done that and you freed up your time, then you can kind of look at your capacity and then see what you have to do and then what's on your plate. And that's really going to put you in a position to have more time to focus on the things that you want to do when you feel like you're being stretched too thin. So that was one of the things that I recommended to her earlier was, you know, look at your schedule, see where you can free up some things if you weren't operating out of guilt or out of frustration or overwhelm, or you weren't taking on things because you felt like you had to. So I think we all have those things in our career that we've done that we could potentially let go of if we gave ourselves permission. So does anyone have any questions about that? I know it's getting late, so you guys might be about ready to hop off. I'll probably get off around 10:30. I got this light on over here and I'm getting super hot. So I'll probably get off at about 10:30. So anyone else have any questions about navigating your career, defining your area of expertise, your niche? Let me tell you all a little bit of things bit about the things that I have coming up, just so you know what's going on and what I'm working on and what you can expect. So I mentioned about one, Design Your Career, the mentorship program. So that's going to be, again, closing December October 31st. So if you do want to join the mentorship, make sure you click the link in my profile, head over to my Stand store, and then you can join the mentorship program from there. So in addition to the mentorship program, we're going to be working on our Black Friday offers. So if you're in the scaffolding phase, or if you have been wanting to start a digital product, you can get into the mentorship, and then we'll be walking through your Black Friday offers. I'm going to be launching my Black Friday offers, so you'll be able to see behind the scenes of like how I do all of my content, how I create my content plan, how I schedule, how I batch record, all the things. So we have that. And then in December, I think it's going to be December 2nd, we're going to be doing the career planning workshop. So every 12 weeks, I do the career planning workshop. So make sure that you all kind of stay connected for that, so you can be up to date when we have the career planning workshop. And then when I went to the NASW conference, I think it was, when was the conference? In March? I connected with someone who's a specialist in AI. So she agreed to do some AI trainings for me. So she and I just connected. So we're going to be doing some of those trainings coming up. So I'm super excited about that. And then if you guys haven't watched my latest YouTube video, so I have my ASWB changes with Dr. Apgar. So she agreed to be on my YouTube channel. This is our second interview that we did together. So we did one, I think it was 3 years ago, where she came on my channel and we talked about her, helping social workers prepare for the exam, some things that, some ways that they might plan and prepare that kind of keeps them stuck and not being able to be successful on the exam, how they kind of overthink things and need to have a study plan. So we talked about that the last episode, and then just kind of expanded on that, talking about AI, how it was going to impact the profession. And then she shared some more updates about the ASWB changes. So you can check out that video on my YouTube channel. And let's see what else is coming up. I have a couple podcast episodes that I'm going to be sending out to my email list. So if you're on my email list, I have it's not called the Revolutionary Podcast, but it's a social work program out of Alaska. One of the professors, his name is Christian, and he and I met at the NASW conference, and he asked me to be on the podcast. So I'll be dropping that episode on my email list, and then 2 other podcasts. One is from the Barry's podcast. So that was it's an AI company. So they are helping, and I'm curious what you all are thinking about AI and notes, because I know a lot of social workers are like, absolutely not. Like, we're not using AI for notes. I don't think it's compliant. I don't want my clients' information out there. But there's a lot of companies who are creating ways for social workers to be able to complete their notes easier by having AI listen to the session, and then it will generate the note for you. So that's one of those systems that we talked about, where you can kind of make it easier for yourself. So I have that episode. And then just kind of making more content talking about these 3 phases of professionalism that will be on my YouTube channel. Excuse me. And then I'll be making some more workwear videos. So that's kind of what is coming up in terms of what you'll be able to see from me. And then if there's anything else that you are kind of going through at the moment that you really want me to talk about or want me to cover, you can always email me or send me a DM, and then I can make more content around it. We can start having conversations, and just kind of see where you are with things, what types of support you need, what you're noticing in the profession, some things that you're concerned about, or where you need additional support. Because I really want to create a community where we feel like seen and heard, that we have options, that we don't feel stuck in our career. Like, that's really important to me. Like, I don't want any social worker sad or crying or feeling like they made a mistake, or that they are regretful around a decision that they made, because that is how I felt when I graduated with my degree. Like, when I was sitting in that parking lot at McDonald's about to go in after just graduated with my master's degree, I'm like, this can't be it. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, I was so discouraged. I did not believe that I literally had spent all of this time going to college, getting my degree, and then the only job that called me back was McDonald's. So I was discouraged. I remember at that time, I was looking into going to hair school. Like, I had just graduated with my master's degree, and I was looking at Dudley's Hair School in North Carolina. Like, I was about to pack my things back up after just getting home from graduating, and was about to go to Dudley's for cosmetology school. Like, I literally did not think I was going to be able to find something within the profession, because if you ever heard me tell my story, you know, I mentioned I did a specialization in school social work, but I went to school in Columbus. So Columbus had school social workers within their district, but when I came home to my hometown, we didn't have school social workers. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like, okay, well, let me go to my school district so I can get hired, just like I did when I did my internship. And there were no positions. And then where I had did my internship in my hometown, they weren't hiring, and I didn't know like how to go about getting another school social work role. I had worked in the school social work role at like a school in, you know, this part of town, but I was like, oh, I can't I can't work there. And that was the only other school that I knew of, and I did not get along with the supervisor there. So I'm like, I'm not going back. I wanted to work with our kids, so I was like, I want to find something where I'm having the impact in the community that I want to have, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, well, let me just start looking for other things. And I started applying for Blockbuster Video and I got an interview, but I didn't get hired. And then the lady from McDonald's hired me, and I was supposed to start, and I pulled into the parking lot, and I just sat in my car like, I can't do this. Like, I'm gonna have to figure out something else. So I eventually ended up going to a job fair, and then that's how I got started in children's services. That was my first role out of graduate school, where I worked. And my mom was telling me the story. She was like, when you first started working in children's services, she's like, you probably don't remember this, but you called me crying. I was like, I did. I was like, what was I crying for? I vaguely remember. I remember the situation, but I didn't remember calling her crying about it. She's like, you was like, Mom, they got me at this hospital. Because it was a mom. She was incarcerated, and she gave birth while she was in JAIL. And it was my first assignment. I was supposed to go to the hospital and do an emergency removal after she gave birth to her baby. And that was my first experience working there. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like, she was handcuffed to the bed, like could barely hold the baby. I didn't know the whole story. All I knew is they told me to come with a car seat, like a little seat, you know, for the baby to be transported. And we was doing a removal. And I guess that's what I called her crying about. And I worked there for 6 months. I was like, oh no, I can't do this. I didn't go to school for this. Like, I'm supposed to be working in school with kids, not taking people's kids from them. Like, that's not what I thought I was signing up to do. So I eventually was able to start working at a mentoring program at a different school. And then that's how I made some connections there. If you guys aren't networking in your community, making connections, volunteering, you definitely want to start doing that, because that's going to open up more opportunities for you than just applying for random roles in your community without having some type of connection to the people who are hiring. So look for the roles that you want to do. Go to the nonprofit organization or the agency's website. Look at their board of directors, who the people are that work at that company, and start volunteering. See if they have any events coming up, like a fundraising event, a donation drive. Get out and start getting your face and your name out there in your community by volunteering. We're coming up on election season. Y'all need to be volunteering on these political campaigns. If a commissioner or the mayor or somebody in your town is running for office, volunteer on a campaign. You're going to know where the money is going. You're going to know what's happening in your community, which organizations are funding what. Like, you're going to get so much insight into how the money moves in your community if you volunteer on a political campaign. So I highly recommend and highly suggest that you do that. And if you're more advanced in your career, see if you can volunteer on a board. So find an agency or organization to do that. And if you're more advanced in your career, see if you can volunteer on a board. So find an agency or organization that's looking for a board of directors or has a board of directors, and then see if you can volunteer on their board. That's going to give you some leadership experience if you're like wanting to transition from micro level work into like mid-level leadership, but you've never managed before. If you could have an office on a board, that's going to be really good experience for you to have on your resume and to talk about in your job interview. So does anyone have any questions? I'll probably hop off at about 10:30 if you all don't have any questions about anything that I talked about. Now, everything that I mentioned, you're going to be possibly doing that in the career phase. So you're working in your 9-to-5. You're going to be volunteering, putting your name out there, developing your level of expertise, developing your depth of knowledge. So what's the reason that we're doing that in the career phase? The reason why we're doing all of that in the career phase, from what I teach and what I share, the reason why you're developing your area of expertise and your niche in the career phase is because you're wanting to take that expertise and use it in the scaffolding phase so you can build something and create something for yourself. We're not doing this just for the sake of trying to find another job. You gotta have something on the side for yourself. If anything happens to your role, you want to be in a position to where you can create opportunities for yourself based on the knowledge that you already have. That's something that nobody can take away from you. So whether you lose your job and you get laid off, if you learn the skills, the marketing skills that I teach you about and that I tell you about, how to make content, how to create digital products, you'll never have to worry about not being able to create an opportunity for yourself because you know how to create. You know how to design something from scratch. And if you don't know how to design it from scratch, I give you templates. So you all you need to do is follow what I teach about how to market and sell. And once you do that in the scaffolding phase, then you'll have the capacity to have that depth of knowledge, to create something for yourself, to position yourself as an expert. Then you can start speaking on stages, hosting trainings, support groups, all the things. Oh, that was the other thing. So I think I mentioned, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna get off the live. So one of the other things that I'm gonna be adding, if you're on my email list, you'll be getting emails of like all the things that I'm gonna be adding inside of the mentorship program. So I was able to secure there was an RFP that was submitted or created for a support group in my community, and I submitted for the RFP for a support group for the nonprofit organization. And my private practice won the award for the support group. Excuse me. So now I facilitate a support group for home-based staff. Like, they work with moms in the home to help them parent their children. So that RFP that I put together that was able to help me win that grant award, I'm going to be putting that inside of the mentorship program. So if you know that there's an RFP coming up in your community, or if you just want to pitch an agency and like put this program together that I created, then you could use this support group. It's already proven to be able to win a RFP. So, and we're talking in the, this is not no, this ain't in the hundreds of dollars. So you can absolutely use this to pitch in your community to start this type of support group. And you have the RFP that I submitted. You'll have a copy of the flyer that I created, like all the graphics that I put along with it, the pitch deck. You'll have the slides that I did when I presented the idea to the staff. You'll have the schedule of what it's going to look like for you to have all the support group sessions. So you'll get access to all of that inside of Design Your Career. So does anyone have any questions before I hop off the live? Oh, one other thing. So I saw someone here on live, they were doing a game. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the game Culture Tags. It's like when it has the words on it, like what would that be? YGLT, and then you like hold up the card. It's created by a black lady, and then you have to like describe the card, and then you all will have to guess what the acronym stands for, the initials stand for. What places can one go to apply for grants? It depends on what type of grants that you are wanting and that you're looking for. So if you have a foundation within your community, you can always go to the foundation and apply for grants. The United Way within your organization, you can apply. If you have any type of foundation within your community, you can apply there. You can look at like Target has a grant. Oh, I forgot that was canceled. I think Home Depot, Lowe's, any type of company, you could check their company websites for. I think Home Depot, Lowe's, any type of company, you could check their company websites for grants. Oftentimes they'll have funding. You can. I always say start local, meaning your county or your city or your state, because sometimes when you get into federal grants, then it starts to get a lot more competitive. So if you don't have a team or a professional grant writer, sometimes those grants can get very competitive. So look at local foundations within your community. So if you don't mind sharing what city you're in, I can look up something really quick, or and see what's available if you tell me the city. Because most cities have like a foundation where they fund different initiatives. And when I say look at like Home Depot, Best Buy, check with your local store first, and then they should let you know if those companies actually have grants available. Oh, okay. So in Ohio, I was gonna say, let me see. Let's say you are in Columbus. Okay, so if you were in Columbus, they have the Columbus Foundation. So typically whenever an organization has the word foundation at the end, they have grants that you can apply for. So look up your city, put the word foundation behind it in Google, and then see what type of funding they have in your city. So the game that I was mentioning is called Culture Tag. So I was thinking like maybe tomorrow, I was thinking about coming on live and then we could play the game Culture Tags. One of the reasons, I'm gonna be honest, it's available on the TikTok shop. So I was just gonna have like the shop link. Oh, you're welcome. So I was gonna have the shop link on here, and then we would just play the game. I thought that might be fun just to kind of do that together. So it's after 10. I said I was gonna be on here till 10:30. So I'm gonna be back on tomorrow. So my goal is, I made my content plan. I updated my content plan, I should say. So I have a new strategy that I'm gonna be following. So my goal is to go live 2 times a day from now till December, so I can hit my number that I'm wanting to get to my mentorship program. So I'm going live 2 times a day. My goal is to be able to help 215 social workers design their career, have clarity around what it is that they want to do, get access to everything that they need to level up in their career, to start their digital products, to feel supported in their marketing or in their content creation journey. So that's going to be my goal, 215 social workers that I'm wanting to work with. So a part of me hitting my goal is, part of that is me going live 2 times a day. And then of course, what I upload to my YouTube channel, then my reels. So I got an ambitious goal, but I am determined to get there. So thank you all so much for joining me this whole time. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me about your career. If you want to do, again, a 15-minute career clarity call, you would click the link in my profile. It's free. We can talk through your career goals, and you can let me know what it is that you want to do, what your goals are, where you're feeling stuck, and we can work through it. I record the career clarity call, so I'll send you the recording afterwards so you can watch it, take notes. So yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, a great Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. Let your hair down. Do something fun for yourself, and then I'll see you all tomorrow on live. All right, have a good evening, everybody. Oh, you're welcome.